Jason George Wildlife Adventure. In this episode, we talk about baby cougars. And I was given a tip where I potentially could have found a den, but on this trip, I didn't find a cougar den, but I found someone else's den. And then the cops got called on me, and we'll explain that a little bit later. But how cute is that? Luckily, this time, I was ready with my camera, unlike that cougar in Thunder Bay. My last video on tracking cougars in Pretty River got a lot of positive reviews, and people liked some of the videos I had of foreign trips. So I'm going to include the leopard walking through the bush just like that cougar was in Thunder Bay. I do hope at some point that I get to find the Canadian cougar and see these babies that people have been telling me about. I'm going to use the skills that I've gained from the experiences looking for these animals in foreign countries, tracking cheetahs, and just hanging out and spotting lions and leopards and tigers. Man, if I can just hone these skills and use them here in Canada, I can hopefully find this cougar that people are talking about. There is a group called Big Cats Southern Ontario where they share a lot of other people's experiences if you want to learn more about encounters with cougars in Canada. Check them out. In the last episode of Looking for Cougars, we got a lot of awesome feedback, and it excited me. Except the tip I was given didn't turn out to be actual cougar prey in the tree, but just a human. But now with all the other tips I was getting, now I'm on a high alert to see a cougar, and anything looks like a cougar to me. This Sandhill crane, nope, not a cougar, but definitely tricked me. This side profile, I can definitely tell that it's not a cougar. But when it was crouched over, it definitely got me excited as I was driving. And then I kept driving and I saw something else, and it just ended up being a turkey. And as I'm driving around, I took some back roads and I saw something in a tree, but it ended up being turkey vultures. And I was honestly starting to get a little disappointed. And then I saw something else, and it was a tom. A tom is a male turkey. And I was getting a lot of sights, but not what I wanted. So I went home, and then I got a call from one of my friends inviting me to their place, and I went because I knew the area that they were in might have something cool. I've gone looking for cougars, and today I spotted something really cool. Do you see it? A little baby fox. I got some quick footage, and then I had to head to tutoring as that's what I had this evening, and then my plan was to come back and observe. I've always wondered what baby foxes sound like, and on this trip, I got to find out. If you want to learn more about animals, check out my books or my wildlife club, and check out my hot sauce, Crazy Canuck. But when I got back to this location, something interesting happened. I was hanging out with my friend who couldn't be seen in the car, and I was on the road with my giant tripod, and multiple cars drove past me and nothing happened. And then the person beside the fox's den showed up, and when they pulled into their driveway, I waved to acknowledge that I was here, and I assumed that they might want to come and talk to me, but they didn't even wave back. And then they walked inside their house and honked their car 3 times. And I thought that this was a little bit odd. And I thought to myself, they're probably about to call the cops. And at this point, I think I might have said something to my friend. And they were like, what? And then the person ended up in the window a few moments later. And I was like, yep. They're definitely about to call the cops. And at this point, My friend kind of thought it was shocking or confusing that I would say something like that. But I just had a gut feeling, as I've been in this kind of situation before. And 20 minutes later or so, slowly cruising over the hill came a cop car. Before he even came down the hill, his window was down and he was ready to talk to me. I knew that he was coming and I was standing in the middle of the road. I am glad that I had logoed gear with me and my camera out, because as he rolled up, I wasn't doing anything wrong, and I had a friendly conversation with him, and he asked me what I was doing, and I told him I was taking pictures of the foxes. And he was like, "Oh." And I was like, "Yep." And he was like, "Cool." And then he saw my 3-foot large camera sitting on a tripod, and he was like, "Oh, you're actually taking pictures?" And I was like, "Yep, it's what I do." And I handed him a business card, and it was a really friendly encounter. And he just sort of looked disgusted and was kind of thinking to himself, why am I here? And I asked him if he got called here, and he told me that he was on patrol, and I'm pretty sure that's the smart answer for him to say. But I know based on his facial expressions that he was probably called here and why he was cruising in slowly. And after we chatted, he took off within probably, I'd say, 10, 15 seconds, because he knew that I wasn't a threat. And before he even got over the crest of the hill, he sped off, which to me means he was coming looking for me. He wasn't just cruising this area. I do understand why he said what he did, but it's sad to me that this gentleman wasn't comfortable enough to come and talk to me and called the cops. Again, if he felt uncomfortable, I totally get it. But I'm 6'2", standing in the middle of the road with a camera. I wasn't trying to hide myself. And yeah, I think it was maybe a waste of the cop's time, but that's out of my control. So I actually left shortly after the cop drove off, and I waved bye to the house. I'm sure that that gentleman wasn't looking, but I felt it was appropriate for me to wave. And then I decided to come back in the morning as I'm actually allowed to be on the street. And in the morning, the baby foxes were out and super active. I got to watch one super curious young fox cross the road, and I got to see, I think, the whole litter. There had to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 babies that I saw. Another neighbor actually saw me out, and they actually came and talked to me, and they said that they had seen 9 babies. That's a huge litter, and maybe why these baby foxes are left alone so much, because mom and dad have to catch so much food to take care of them. Well, I'm honestly super glad that I've been looking for cougars. I wish it was a cougar den that I had found, but I'm so glad that I'm spotted this fox den and have some pretty awesome footage of this family of kits. And I will be back, and I plan to share a whole bunch of video, because I've spent a couple hours watching these beautiful creatures hang out and play with each other. So I hope that you've enjoyed this episode, and like, share, subscribe. And until next time, stay safe, have fun, and keep enjoying the wildlife.